Good evening. Welcome to ThaiPBS English News Service. I'm Suwajong Swan. The government spending of 925 million baht on the Bang Rakam model, which is an as yet incomplete project created to develop a prototype for a flood prevention system located in Bang Rakam district of Pisnulok. The area is now flooded. Meanwhile, today is the third day that the Prime Minister has done a field survey visiting dike and dam constructions as well as the water retention areas in many central provinces. She has reiterated that all related organizations must complete the urgent flood prevention projects by July before another severe flood hits the area. The third day of surveys of water management projects by the Prime Minister is to follow up on dike and dam construction as well as the Monkey Cheek project or the water retention areas at Borapet March in Nakhon Sawan province and at Kirang March in Bang Rakam district of Pisnulok province. This is part of the government's mega budget flood protection plans. In addition, the PM has told all responsible to complete the urgent flood prevention projects by July as another severe flood may hit the area around that time. She has ordered the governors to prepare flood-prone provinces and to check that there are no obstructions in the waterways. Meanwhile, at the conference hosted by the Network of Big Cities, Sumet Tantiwechakun, Secretary of the Chai Patana Foundation, presented and lauded His Majesty the King's talent in water management. He revealed that the king has demonstrated his genuine concern by daily seeking up to date information from officials about the water level of the Chao Phraya River every day. He added that the king also suggested the authorities manage the water from upstream to downstream systematically, adding that people themselves should be provided with knowledge on water management and be able to deal with the floods when they occur. The flood situation in the southern provinces is now almost resolved, while many provinces along the north, especially along the Yom River, especially in Sukhothai and Pisnulok provinces, are being severely affected by the floods. And meanwhile, the government's incomplete flood prevention prototype project known as the Bang Rakam model is now underwater. Residents of Bang Rakam in Pisnulok province are now rowing boats across their rice fields to harvest whatever crop is left floating in their inundated paddy fields, as the Khom Din Dan dike between Pisnulok and Sukhothai provinces collapsed yesterday. Soldiers and disaster prevention and mitigation officers are now speeding up dike repairing along the Yom River and Sukhothai provinces to prevent the water from flooding into residential areas, as around 2,000 families struggle with the flooding in Konglai and Mueang districts. The local people of Bang Rakam district have revealed that the Bang Rakam model flood prevention project launched by Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra, which included a sluice gate, may be one of the major reasons for this year's flood, as they believe that it has prevented the water from flowing away naturally. The government has spent 925 million baht on the Bang Rakam model in Bang Rakam district of Pisnulok province, which is now 60% completed. And it was visited by Niwat Thamrong Bunsong Phaisan, Minister to the PM's office, to assess the progress. He accepted that the Bang Rakam district will surely be hit by the floods again this year. However, the government is now preparing the measures for rehabilitation and compensation for the flood victims. Meanwhile, the flood situation in the southern provinces like Ranong, Chumpon, Surathani and Krabi has eased, and the authorities are now working to the recovery process. If there is no rain, the flood situation is expected to be resolved within this week. And despite the government chief whip trying to put the charter amendment into Parliament's debate schedule, today's House meeting has officially cancelled the consideration of the Constitution Amendment and the controversial National Reconciliation Bills, which means that the debate on these particular issues will not be held in the next Legislative Assembly either. The opposition insists that if Parliament brings up these issues to debate again, another round of conflict will be inevitable. Today's Parliament meeting did not hold a debate on the National Reconciliation Bill, but voted on an anti-money laundering bill and laws relating to financial support for terrorism instead. However, the government chief whip repeated that he will review the Constitution Court's verdict, and in which ordered Parliament to stop the consideration of the charter to see if the Constitution Court has ordered that Parliament is not allowed to hold this debate in the future. Constitution Court judges asked the House to wait for its final verdict on whether or not rewriting the Constitution through a draft committee is legal. The verdict will likely be announced in the middle of July. The opposition chief whip believes that despite the government's right to bring this issue back to the House, he sees any discussion on the reconciliation bills will create uproar whenever the subject is raised. Analysts say Somsaket Suranon, the House Speaker, wanted to avoid any further conflict as the political atmosphere developing outside Parliament walls will only get worse if the controversial reconciliation bills were to be considered. Right now, the government, the Pheu Thai Party, coalition parties, and the red shirt groups, as well as former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, should perhaps use this opportunity to create better understanding between themselves on the direction they should be taking with the reconciliation bill, says the analysts. And it is now 100% clear that Grammy, quoting UFA's decision, will not allow True Visions to relay the European Football 2012 matches. Meanwhile, True claims that it should not be fined 20,000 baht a day for not broadcasting the Euro football, as True maintains it's not their fault. Executives of GMMZ, the broadcast rights owner of Euro 2012 in Thailand, made public UFA's letter replying to Gramma's inquiry that whether or not to allow True to relay live football signals from free TV. UFA claims since free-to-air analog TV channels are broadcasting the games, there will be no need to allow a subscriber-supported cable TV channel like True to repeat the signals. Those watching the football matches will have to continue watching using the conventional antennas or through Grammy's satellite receiver box. Meanwhile, True Visions expressed disappointment for failing to negotiate a resolution to the Euro football deal saga. The cable provider says now that the 20,000 baht day fine imposed by the National Broadcasting and Telecommunications Commission is not fair, as it is not True's fault that it could not relay the signals. The NBTC earlier stated that consumers should not have become victim of a disagreement between two companies. The Ministry of Commerce has agreed to cap food prices of 7 most popular cooked food at 30 baht per dish in 38 provinces. This is part of the government's strategy to reduce public concern over the rising cost of living. The Ministry of Commerce continues to press ahead with its price control measures on 7 popular cooked foods, including basil chicken fried rice, noodles, and porridge, all of which must not exceed 30 baht per dish. The selected dishes are based on a survey of provincial consumer price indices, and the measures will not only be imposed in 38 provinces, and the measures will only be imposed in 38 provinces, including Bangkok and its vicinities, as well as provinces that face a higher cost of living, like Krabi, for instance. The price control policy will be applied to food centers in fresh markets, office buildings, and petrol stations. Eating places in shopping malls and southern provinces, however, may exceed the price limit by no more than 5 baht. Hawker stalls, restaurants, and entertainment outlets are not affected by the scheme. Nevertheless, ThaiPBS's survey of food prices in Mueang Thong Thani discovered that some of the listed dishes still exceed 30 baht. Food operators attributed this to higher rents. Still, markets in Pak Kret and Sapan Mai are places which these dishes can still be enjoyed at 30 baht. The Commerce Ministry is allowing time for food operators in the selected venues to adjust to the new prices, after which state authorities will be patrolling food centers once every 2 weeks to make sure that the vendors are following the state's orders, and those who fail to abide the price controls will face legal action. And this Friday, the AOT will open more immigration checkpoints in Suvarnabhumi Airport due to the mounting complaints from Thais and foreigners about the long queues when passing through the limited outbound immigration checkpoints at airports. The AOT, the company which oversees airports in Thailand, will increase checkpoints to be able to handle an extra 7,200 people per hour at Suvarnabhumi Airport. Somchai Swadipon, director of Suvarnabhumi, says the 2 more checking zones added, which included 12 additional desks, will likely boost immigration department's speed in processing outbound passengers at Suvarnabhumi Airport, especially early morning when the lines are extra long. One of the 2 new immigration checking zones will start operation this Friday, while the second one will be up and running by August this year. The Office of Basic Education is providing IT training for teachers nationwide in preparation for the incoming 400,000 tablet PCs, which are to be distributed to grade 1 students in this July. An additional 7,000 internet hotspots, however, must also be set up before the end of the year to support an increasing number of internet users. Chinapat Phumrat, Secretary General of the Office of the Basic Education Commission, or OBEC, revealed that preparations for support of 400,000 tablet PCs have now been completed, which includes the readiness of warehouses and the distribution system. The devices are expected to arrive on July the 9th. OBEC will also be collaborating with the Ministry of Information and Communications Technology on setting up internet access points. At present, 700 schools are equipped with internet capability, while the setup of an additional 7,000 internet access points is underway. The Office of the Basic Education Commission is also organizing training camps for teachers in 183 districts nationwide, in which 3 trainers will be assigned to schools in each district, or a ratio of 1 trainer to 300 teachers. OBEC will meet with the ICT Ministry again from June the 18th to the 20th to ensure readiness for the government's tablet PC scheme. And following the discovery of a national police recruitment examination scam, more names will now be added to the police's list of arrest warrants, and the scam may involve a nationwide network. Dachai Uchuko Sonkan, who is running for president at Lampang's Provincial Administrative Organization, was arrested and questioned by police who believe he was involved in a cheating in tests for non-commissioned police officers. He was implicated by one of the 5 suspects arrested in possession of 10 million baht in cash. Dachai refused all the allegations, claiming he does not know the 5 suspects. He was released on a 200,000 baht bail. Meanwhile, a woman whose husband is a low-ranking police officer in Sisagate province is allegedly to be a key member of this scam group. Sisagate Police Commissioner says that if investigators find that police are connected to the test sheets, they will be dismissed from the force immediately. Interior Ministry officials may also be involved in the cheating, as some of the people who took the exams used fake ID cards to take the test on someone else's behalf. Children and young people all over the world are in need of protection and special care when it comes to legal conflicts. So the Department of Juvenile Observation and Protection and the International Juvenile Justice Observatory are jointly hosting the first Asia-Pacific Council for Juvenile Justice, aiming to improve the juvenile justice system globally. Here's more from Karn Raktham.
The first Asia-Pacific Council for Juvenile Justice aims to share the experience of the juvenile justice system with other countries, as well as to launch the Asia-Pacific Council for Juvenile Justice. It has been set up to formulate recommendations on the development of juvenile justice in Asia, gather quantitative and qualitative information on the situation of children and young people in conflict with the law, and propose coordinated action among all stakeholders. Thawatchai Thaikiao, Director General of the Department of Juvenile Observation and Protection, or DJOP, said that children and young people should not be detained in any place where their rights are withheld for a long period, as it can be an obstacle to child development. The authorities should find other measures for the juvenile justice system. And as there are various factors like a family or community that may influence the child to commit the crime, he said that the fact-finding process should be able to discover why the youngsters decide to commit the crime. To assess the fact-finding process for juvenile crime, Khattiya Ratanadilok, clinical psychologist of DJOP, has developed interview questions to cover all potential factors which cause the children to commit crime, aiming to provide the right therapy program to each individual instead of sending them to a detention center.
Because we ask in detail of each juveniles about their individual needs and risks, so we can understand the picture of the juvenile, what they need, what they have to be helped, what they need to, what we have to do to help them to not committing crimes again.
Last year, there were 35,049 juvenile criminal cases with more crimes committed by males aged between 15 and 18. Crimes committed by females represented less than half. In addition, the Asian Pacific Council for Juvenile Justice aims to encourage Asian countries to use the same interdisciplinary concept of juvenile justice based on 3 fundamental axes: the prevention of juvenile delinquency, intervention and educational measures, and socio-professional reinsertion. The interview questions for juvenile cases developed by the Thai clinical psychologist Kattiya will also be presented at the conference on juvenile justice in London in November. Kankorn Raktham, Thai PBS.
Thank you, Kankorn. And that's all the time we have for tonight's edition of Thai PBS English News Service. We'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Suwajong Glitsawan. Sorry up.